So today's project is I want to get this piece finished, at least tacked in properly, and probably start working on this bottom section of the quarter there. So I'm happy with everything else I got. Obviously I got to kind of finish weld it there. This is what I'm going to work on today. So I'm going to end up cutting right around here. I traced it all out, what I'm going to do. So from about here up, I'm going to end up butt welding it in, side by side, right on the curve and all that. And down here, I'm actually going to use a little flange tool and flange the car so it'll fit basically even. And then I can weld that in solid. So it should be pretty good. Once that's all done, then I can decide how much of this piece I want to keep compared to the new panel and the sill plate and everything, and go from there. Alright, I figured I'd show you guys this flange tool I was just talking about. So it's real simple. Basically what happens is you end up putting the sheet metal in there, and as you pull the trigger, it just clamps it like that and lets go, which results in a little flange right there. You can kind of just see. So then when if this would, like, this is going to be the car, it's stepped down for the new patch panel. So when you put the new patch panel on, it'll be in this area right here. You can then weld it in along the seam there, and then when you grind it smooth, it'll end up being a flat little setup there. So I always like to just do a little practice piece and then measure how much is going to flange, because you want to make sure you don't cut the panel exactly flush. You want to give yourself a little bit of room so it fits proper. So here's what I do. I'm no body guy, but it's always worked for me. I always draw everything out in Sharpie. So this one I wrote inside the line, so I made sure when I cut it, this is where it's going to be flush. I got to go in and clean that back up. And this line here down, I'm going to flange it. So I made sure I wrote flange. I measured how much of a flange I'm going to have. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut on this tape line, and then once I flange this piece, it should be flush right to this line. This is where I traced the panel and it was tacked on the car. And you got to make sure you don't forget about the bottom piece here too. So same idea. I'm going to go down there, across there. That'll all be gone. Then I can flange it across all the way up, and then the piece should fit in flush. And I can, on the flange there, weld it, and then butt weld it the whole way around there. Okay, so it's all cut out. I cut on the tape line, both sides there. And when I flanged it, you can kind of see, hopefully it shows up on camera, it came up right on the panel mark. So that Sharpie is right where the panel was on the car. And then I'll have to figure something out there. It's hard to get in the corners. Otherwise, I'm just going to grind all this so it's down to bare metal for welding. Clean up the edges here a little bit. Next time you see it, it should be tacked into place. So I got the piece tacked in. I think it's pretty permanent now. And it's somewhat, you can see from this angle, it's definitely not sticking out too much once I grind it all down. Door opens and closes on its own. And the door gap is not terrible the whole way through. The door's a little crooked and stuff like that. Actually has to come back from the front, so it should be a pretty good fit when it's all done. So next, I have this panel here. Obviously I have to trim it to fit and whatnot. Essentially that's going to go somewhere like that. So that'll be the next challenge. So I cut the patch panel down a little bit. It went quite a bit longer, so I just kind of made it to match. And I cut some of the structure on the inside so I can make it fit. So I think what I'm going to end up doing, it's just clamped on there loose now, is slice it right down on the edge the whole way around, and I can weld it in there. Cut out all the sills and whatnot. Again, keep flanging all the way down, and then I'll weld it, plug weld it on there and on the bottom of the sill and whatnot once I get all the old metal out. So that'll be pretty good. I'm not overly concerned about this section here. I'm just kind of tack welding it in. I ended up buying radius wheel well patches. So again, they're kind of wherever I decide to make them fit is where it's going to be. So I'll probably be chopping into this brand new panel anyways, and then across the top and then down the back. So, but I figure I'd get it tack welded so it looks factory again. And I'm not sure if I want to do the radius wheel rows right away, or if I want to start working on the other side and get them both to the same part of the project here. So my final cuts. This is the size of the panel I want to install. So I put it on, traced it all the way around. So this is what I'm left with. So basically the same thing. I'll have to measure how far I want to go across, so I have enough material that I can flange this piece so that it should fit in. I'll probably end up chopping out most of this sill here, and I'll weld it on the bottom, or there's actually a little pinch weld on the back, so I might just do that as well. And I'll come around here and weld up this seam, and that's the line. It's going to end there. So same thing, I'll have to flange that down there as well. And it shouldn't be too bad, so I should have that cut out and tacked in later on tonight. Well, here we go. It's a 2-door. Well, 3-door I guess right now. So I got that piece tacked in. Looks kind of goopy, a brand new piece of metal on this thing. It's going to look like a patch quilt by the time I'm done. But that's pretty much ready to go, so I got a few more tack welds to do underneath, just on the bottom of the sill there. But otherwise, it fit pretty good. I should be able to finish kind of welding all that in, and I'll probably move on to the other side there. What's going on, guys? So, same as where I left off, I guess in the last section there. So it's all tacked on. So today I'm going to be finish welding it in. I'm sure you guys have all heard it 1,000 times, but you're welding sheet metal, you want to, really go on all the ends. You don't get too much heat in there. I've been there, done that. It torques it up pretty good, and then it's a pain to straighten out. So I'll probably put you guys on the tripod there and a little fast motion welding. So about 75% done. Zillion little tack welds all the way around. So now I just got to go in and kind of join them all together. And I actually got to get down here. I put a few plug welds in there, so I got to finish that up and then inside the jam and whatnot. But that's pretty boring. And so these are all the little spot welds, almost all joined together. I'm not super concerned about down here. I made sure it was welded fairly solid, but again, I'm going to end up chopping half of that out for those new wheel wells I got. Otherwise, I'll come back in, join all these together all the way across, and then get in there. And underneath I got a few plug welds. I just got to double check. I'm pretty sure I did that the other night. Otherwise, that's about it. Then I get to grinding, and I'm a much better grinder than I am a welder. Alright guys, I made some pretty good progress tonight. Got everything pretty much where I want it, mostly welded in. Unfortunately, I ran out of welding gas. So that's about as far as I'm going to get. It's also actually getting pretty late and I got to work early tomorrow. So get a new bottle of gas tomorrow and get back at it and just do a few more spots. But overall, it's got a pretty good look to it. It's definitely a 2-door on this side.